Hey everyone, and thanks for watching 3dmotive.com. My name is Cordell Felix, and on this video, I will show you how to turn your diffuse map into a specular really quickly by using its layers in Photoshop. I will be using Photoshop CS6 for this video, and this video assumes that you have a basic knowledge of texturing in Photoshop. I'm going to be using my truck containers texture to demonstrate how to convert your diffuse map into a specular map. You need to have your diffuse completely finished in order to start this step. We need all of the diffuse layers to change their saturation and intensity. I name all of my layers as I go because it makes it easier for me to know what I'm working with and what I'm going to change. For the most part, I already know where most of my layers are in the stack because the names really help with this. So we need to go through the layers and change opacity, levels, saturation, or even the blending modes. I'm going to start at the bottom of the list and move up. I have the base metal starting at the bottom. I usually start with the base colors, then add the metal texture on top of that. Let's start with my first layer here that's right above my base metal color. So what I usually do is I first start to tick the layer on and off to see exactly what I'm working with. So I can see that this is kind of like a dirty metal texture that I overlaid on top of this. And I did the blending change soft light. So what I can do with this is I can check it out in normal mode and see its color and everything. So I want to desaturate this just a little bit by hitting Control U. And let's bring the saturation down a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to put it back to soft light. Okay. And I want it to be more intense, so I'm just going to Control J on it to copy the layer again. You can do the same thing by dragging it on top of the new page, like that. So I like how dark the dirt is because those parts won't reflect in the specular. So if I go back to my model here, you'll see that the areas where there's dirt, the light won't shine. So it gives it a really nice effect and it makes this look really weathered and everything. I'm also going to mess with the levels a little bit. So you can mess with levels by hitting Control L. And let's just bring this slider down a bit and bring this slider up. Let's make those whites a little brighter. Okay. And then let's move on to this next texture. So that's behind everything. Oh, that's that color. Okay. So I want this to be kind of a blue color since it's kind of a darker metal. So let's go. So it already has a color overlay, so I can just double click the color overlay. If you want to add a color overlay, all you have to do is just go down to FX and then click the color overlay. Sorry if you didn't see that, but it's went out of the window. So I'm just going to double click my color overlay, and right now it's at a brown color, so let's switch that to the bluish. Something like this is fine. Okay, so it's already at 10%, so let's see if we can ramp it up a little bit. It's probably good enough. I just want a little bit of a blue tint to reflect off the specular. And this is the same kind of texture I had on the other one, so it should be a soft light. Yeah, let's bring it up a bit. That looks good. And press Control U to desaturate a little bit. Okay. I'm gonna mess up these levels on here too. I don't want it to be too dark. That's pretty cool. So that should give some pretty cool information. So these are some silver metal parts that I have. So this should be pretty bright. So let's do levels to bring the brightness up. I'm gonna hit Control L and bring up the levels. So this should be almost near white because I really want these to shine since they're brighter metal. Let's see what this next one is. I think it's these rims. Yeah, up here. Okay, so this is a darker metal. Okay. Let's put a blue color in here. I have brown on everything. Okay, so blue. Let's bring that up a little bit. Okay. And let's use levels because it's a little too dark. That's good. So I'm basically just changing the levels, everything, the saturation, just to make them brighter than the original color of it. So here's a good one. These are some like oily, kind of dirty colors that I have here. So I want these to also not show in the specular. Or I don't want the light to really shine here. So let's darken these up a little bit. I think I'm just gonna copy the layer a couple times. Actually, just once is fine by hitting Control J. And you can see that it already just made it a lot darker. I could probably go in here and even also do levels. I guess not. Let's go to this rim color. It's the soft light kind of metal. Okay, cool. So I like this kind of texture because it gives the specular a lot of just information to look at. Just a lot of random dirtiness. So let's bring this down, the levels, and bring this up. So it's way too blue, so let's desaturate it. Not all the way. That's good enough. So I got some tire dirt. Tire cover edge rust. Oh, that's down here. On this edge, I believe. Yeah. So it's on overlay. I could probably put it on normal and then just bring the opacity up. And then I'm going to desaturate this completely. I don't want the rust to have any color at all in the specular. So I see it has some white edges going on, so I'm just going to multiply this and it should just become dark. That is way too dark. So I can just bring the opacity down a bit. Okay, and that should barely show in the specular. I should be testing out my spec map by saving it out and viewing it on my model. So I'm going to save it out now and overwrite my file. So let's check it out in here. So I like how it's working out on the model. The light is avoiding the dirt areas just how I wanted it to do, because it makes it look very worn. So I just think that it's getting a bit too much saturation and the color is still when the light is bouncing over it. And I'd also like it to be a little bit warmer, because right now I have these darker metals receiving a cooler kind of bounce with the blue, and this could receive a warmer one. So let's go and do that. Zoom in a little bit. So let's add a bit of warmness to my base color. So I'm going to do FX and then color overlay. And let's do like an orange type color. You can just do any random color and then add it back in with the opacity. Just a little bit. All you really need is just a little bit, because just even at 20% it's still going to make a difference. So let's test that out. So you can see already it's a bit warmer. I need to desaturate both of these layers, and I'm going to do that really quickly just by hitting Control-Shift-U, and that'll desaturate it without having me to bring up this menu. So that, again, that is Control-Shift-U. So that should get rid of a bit of the color information that's in that currently. So let's go back up to here, to where I was. So we got some more rust going on. So it looks like I got some drips that I have added. And right now it's at multiply and at 12%, so I'm just going to bring it to 100% and see exactly where I want to bring it to. So I usually bring it to full range and then I'll drag it down to an area that I like. Maybe something like that. Maybe it still has a little bit of shine still. So that looks pretty good. And looks like it'll be on the door there and over all the way across this. Maybe a little lower. Looks pretty good. I'm going to test those new drips and see what it looks like on the spec. Maybe I want it to be a little darker. So let's find out. I think it looks pretty good. So I don't think it needs any touching. So we got some bolts. Those are already pretty bright, so those should shine just fine. We got some more rust going on. Can't even find it. If you can't find it, just zoom out all the way and then just click it. And if you don't see it, I'm just going to delete it. We got some stickers going on. These are like reflective stickers. So I'm just going to desaturate this. Or actually I'm going to hit Control U and then bring the lightness all the way up. That way it'll make the whole thing white. Because if I have it to where I just desaturate only, you'll still see some dark parts there. It'll just desaturate the color only and leave it black. So I'm going to bring the lightness all the way up and to make the whole thing white. Because I want the whole thing to glow. It's a hazardous, or it's a reflective sticker. I could probably make it brighter too by bringing the opacity up, or even copying it. Let's move on to some scratches. Get some scratches on this vent here. So this is like an aluminum type metal, so these scratches should be very visible. So I have it on overlay and 100%. You shouldn't really have to change the blending modes too much because they're good how they are usually. So I'm just gonna leave it on overlay for now. And if I want it to be more intense and it's at already 100% opacity, I can just copy the layer over by hitting Control J, and it's more intense already. So that's gonna shine a lot. So I'm gonna test it out by saving it out. So that part is right over here. So let's shine the light on it. That's a pretty cool effect. Okay, so let's move up the list. Got a handle thing going here. That's fine how it is. Actually, I'll just get rid of that. We got some large dirt, and this is one of my important dirts here because it's a unique type of dirt that's on these edges here. So it's on normal and 100% opacity. I can try multiplying it to see what it will do. No, it's not gonna do anything. So let's leave it on normal, and the only way I can make this more intense is just by copying the layer. So let's copy it a couple times, actually a bunch of times. There we go. And it made those parts really dark. So those areas I really didn't want to shine because I wanted a lot of dirt buildup. So I should test that out now because that's a very serious thing right there. So now there's even more light that's not showing in some of these areas. It just makes this thing look super weathered. I'm actually going to delete a couple of these layers. It's a bit too much. My old teacher, Tommy Cho, would be proud of this grunginess. So let's move on. So we've got some gradients. I can just leave those. Got some black bolt rust. So it looks like it's these two panels here. And it just looks like it's just some general dirt buildup. So I have it on normal and opacity 18. So I can just bring that up a bit. And that is, I don't want it to be having a brown in there. So when I completely desaturate by hitting Control Shift U and then bring the opacity up again. So there you go. There's some nice dirt buildup. And here's some overall rust that I've combined from earlier. So that could just be generally darker. And then I can control, I'm going to desaturate. I'm going to bring all of it to be a bit darker altogether. Seems good. So we got some more leaks here. Let's bring it to normal. And so since it's normal 100%, I'm going to copy it a couple times to kind of make it more visible. And then let's collapse all these stacks by hitting Control E and selecting all of them. So let's desaturate and then multiply. Cool. There you go. So that covers that folder. Now I got a little bit more. Some hubcaps. Some looks like I got some rust. So let's desaturate that and then multiply it. Just a bunch of editing. That's pretty much all it is. Ooh, and these hubcaps are pretty rusty, so I don't want them to be brown at all. I'm gonna desaturate them. Not completely, just enough. It's probably too light, actually. So let's merge these two together, then make them darker with this. Probably not gonna use levels. Let's take some tire words, some general tire dirt. I think that this tire could be probably a little darker. I don't want it to be too bright. And looks like it's got a bunch of dirt. I'm going to collapse these two because I know that they're all dirt. And desaturate it and multiply it. Okay. That looks pretty good. And I got a flap here. Probably make it a little brighter just so it shines just a bit. Rubber still has some reflectivity. And I got these lights here. Just desaturate those. Actually, I'll just bring the lightness up since those lights are highly reflective. And I got a cavity map, which is just an overall edge. I could bring that up a bit. Edge highlights are good. And I got some AO and some oil map on top of everything. I can bring that up a bit. So that looks pretty good as an end result. So let's test it out now and see how I like it. So that looks pretty nice. This is pretty much the results that I wanted from my specular map on this model. Let's check it out without the specular map just to see what it looks like. Let's clear this. That's a bit too intense. So it pretty much looks like just a different prop without that extra specular information. So let's add that back in. And now I can check out the tires. Those seem to have a nice reflectivity, like the rubber. This dark metal looks pretty nice. Yeah, I like how the light hits it. It works for me. So I'm going to do a quick cap. You want to work with the layers that you have and mess with their settings to get the results that you want. Constantly test out how the specular works whenever you make a large change, like I did with all the dirt on the sides. Decide whether you want a certain material to reflect your color, or decide if you want something to not reflect any color at all. Usually dirt and rust do not have much color reflection, so try to desaturate those and keep them dark for the spec map. That's it for this quick tip. My name is Cordell Felix, and thanks again for watching 3dmotive.com.